Everyone, so it's just gone past 8:30 in the morning and we're up in Dusseldorf at the moment, so we're a little bit earlier than schedule for a Saturday morning, but the timelines are based around our presentation here in Dusseldorf, so if you're around it'll be on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the main stage today on Saturday, and then 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So questions and answers and an overview of me normally happens Saturdays in the afternoon. Not sure when it'll happen. It could happen late tonight when we get back from some meetings and so on. But we'll try and get round to it if we can. Anyway, we'll do a daily update on the video here for the tracker and weather. As we move forward, there's a lot going on with the weather. It's changing very quickly. And we'll be doing French on Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, as well as written reports during the week, but I'll try and do written reports when we can, and Christophe will be giving those live tracker updates and so on for the French next week. So yeah, plenty happening. For now, let's look at Tapio's situation. Just a reminder, Suhaili actually went around Cape Horn, I think it was on the 17th of January, I think it was. Oh, I better check that. The first time he went around, was that right? Oh, I haven't got his book here. Better check that, so I won't say anything yet. But anyway, Suhaili's up there at the moment, headed for Cape Horn and catching up with Tapio. Tapio's got a few problems with his radio. It's completely out at the moment. Looks like the aerial is a major problem, and he's looking at now rigging his emergency antenna. He can't get any HF radio reports. That's time signals and weather. So at the moment he's pretty much isolated except for his tweets, and he has a satellite phone, of course, and all his safety gear, so that's fine. We're not too worried, but it may affect him on into the future if he doesn't have the use of his long-range radio. So weather's pretty good for him now. We did give him that suggestion to stay above 50 degrees south, but this storm coming along may be dissipating a little bit, like opening up. So for now, he's making about 3.8 knots, heading pretty much southeast, I suppose, and doing okay. So if we move forward a day, we'll see what we've got. This is this storm. So a day from now, even if he makes 3 knots, he's going to be at the top end of it, very similar to what happened last time a few days ago. And he will obviously be blowing across to the east at that stage when these winds, as it's approaching. In fact, I'll come back to today and just animate it. This is every 3 hours. You can see it coming now. We'll give him just tip him off that there's heavy weather coming. He knows that. He'll be down a little bit further, so it'll come and he'll alter his course and run with it. So we're certainly not too concerned about that one. And then as we keep moving forward from that, there is another depression coming, but it's not going to form up until it's past him. It starts to form up here. By that stage he'll be over this side, so it'll go below him and it shouldn't create any problems at all as well. So this is moving forward to the 23rd, 24th. He'll be on the back of this, and he's about 1,400 miles from Cape Horn still, so it's going to be another couple of weeks, I reckon, before he gets there, and that will be a big day for everyone, him and us, I got to tell you. So what's going on up here with Istvan and Uku? Well, it's pretty much as we predicted. If we come back to real-time weather, Istvan's making great progress. He's had some strong winds overnight. Or you can see here, this is the trade winds up here, still a bit weak, but they are going to get stronger. So I'll boost this up and just focus it in so it's not jumping around. So we can see that's too far. Sorry about that. We'll watch these guys together. So you can see Istvan's had these strong southeasterly winds, but he's making good time on that. He's doing 5.4 knots, heading up right on course, and Uku's been struggling. He's only doing 2 knots in this light band, so he's getting closer. Now, how much longer will Istvan have the advantage? So we'll just tip this through every 3 hours. So it's this is 18 hours coming up. And he's still got this wind here. By then he'll be up there, so he's got nearly about 18 hours or so of favourable winds, and then it's going to go a little band of light and he'll peel off, so probably 24 hours of progress at about average of about 5 knots. So that's going to give him 120 miles or so further along the track. Uku's got the same deal. He's got very light winds. He'll be going off on starboard tack in a northwesterly direction, which is okay, but the trades haven't quite reached him yet, and they haven't quite swung in direction. So he's going to make slow progress. It's probably going to give Istvan maybe another day of progress. So clicking it through again, you'll see when Istvan gets over to the other side here, he's got, I'll make this a bit bigger and hopefully we can still see both. Yeah, okay. At that stage, Istvan's now getting headwinds, so he'll go out on port tack, heading out in a northeasterly direction, and it's not bad. It's a little bit, oh well, that's probably due north. So he'll be coming out here, heading over towards Uku's spot, and that's still 1 day, so coming over to 2 days. So yeah, he'll be struggling here because it's increasing in strength, so he's not going to make a lot of forward progress. I mean, he will, but it's going out on port tack. He'll be coming across this way. So he's got maybe a day and a half of progress. So in that day and a half, Uku is not going to get that far, but he'll he'll still make a bit of progress. So I'll make a projection here. If we say Istvan is there, let's say 100, no, he's probably going to be, he'll probably be about here while Uku's hardly moved. I'll call it 120 miles. So if we then look at Uku will be up about here somewhere. That puts him on effective track, north-south, 250 miles behind Uku. So in the scheme of things in the race, in a couple of days, Istvan will have clawed back quite a distance with Uku, and he's only about 250 miles behind. That puts him in touch very definitely. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But looking forward now for both of them, so this is where Uku may then get the advantage coming back. Here's the trades. They're starting to fill in, get a little bit stronger, and they're coming from that direction. And as soon as Uku hits there, he's on a bit of a ride, a bit of a slow ride there to keep coming. So just clicking it through, Uku will be up here about this stage. He'll be coming in on this tack, just making it in there, and the wind's still doing okay, but he needs to get north. And as soon as he gets north, you can see it's an easterly. Once he gets up here, he'll just turn around and keep going. The closer he goes to the coast, these trades bend down. So it's a bit of an anomaly where the further he tacks across here, the longer the wind stays in this northerly direction and the harder it is for him to get out. This is exactly what happened to Jean-Luc, and it's why he ended up on the coast here. So it's not open and shut for Uku yet, but it does swing again behind for Istvan if he's lucky. But hang on, no, that's not going to work because he's going to be up here. He's got headwinds. So let's just see what happens here. They're both really getting into the same type of weather. But Istvan's going to have tougher times struggling up because as Uku comes up here, this is a couple of days away. It's definitely lightening off, but it's swinging more to the east. So Uku's going to hold his position, but by the time they both get up into the trades, I reckon Uku's only going to be about 300 miles in front. In real terms, not distant to the finish, but on the course. So that will be kind of interesting. And then when they're in the trades, it's just a boat race. And realistically, Uku may be a little bit faster there. So anyway, we'll watch that with great interest. I suppose you're all interested in what's happening with Marc and Jean-Luc right now. So all very interesting. The forecast into the future has changed a lot since yesterday. Okay, the Azores High is still sitting there, but everything that was in front of Jean-Luc has actually changed quite a bit. If you compare this video that we're going to do now to yesterday, you'll see that the what's happening up here, there's some big stuff going on with this storm, okay, and that's driving the position of this high pressure system here. And they're all a little bit slippery because when you've got a dominant weather system, the stuff underneath it can slip around and do all sorts of things in a radical way, not a consistent, typical average way. So so it is changing. We've upgraded the tracker now to every 2 hours, so you can plot what's going on. And let me just focus in on there. So coming back here, of course, the wild card for Marc Slats is how much fuel does he have. Now, I've got a feeling he's got probably enough fuel to motor for at least 40 hours, maybe more. I think he hasn't told us anything yet, but by the look of his track, it's dead straight. There's not much breeze, and he's doing 4.5 knots. He's either sailing really well, or he's motor sailing, or he's just motoring. We're not sure. But he certainly has enough to motor, well, some distance. I forget what amount of fuel he's got. I'm not inclined to ask him because that gives away a bit of a game plan he might have. A lot of people have been saying, "Oh, find out how much fuel he's got. Find out how much fuel he's got." We know Jean-Luc's got none, and I'm guessing that Mark's probably got 80 litres, so that's about 40 hours. If you get 40 hours on economy cruise, he's making about 4 knots, and so that's in 160 miles. So how far is this? How far is 160 miles? How far can he motor? He could motor, I reckon, this is just my stab in the dark, he's probably got enough fuel to get to the other side of the high if it stays in this position and doesn't extend or move too much. So, but you'll see, he's got a bit of a breeze before he gets there, so he may be able to strategically use his fuel in a very interesting way here and get stay in touch with Jean-Luc. So as you know, just after I did yesterday's written post saying Jean-Luc needs to tack north now rather than go the traditional route across here, crikey's about an hour later, bingo, he's jibed and he's going north, which is the other option, of course, to meet the new high, because he would have probably listened in and got the weather forecast. There was another high up here, and once you know that's there, that's when you bridge off this one and bounce to the next one. So that's why he would have jibed. He would have got the 8 o'clock weather forecast, thought about it a bit and said, yep, time to go. So this is real-time weather now, forecasting, remembering two things. That, first of all, the forecast may not be accurate because there's not a lot of places out there. However, there's stations in the Azores here, so in this area they could be pretty accurate, and you'll see he's got not much wind there. Now I'm going to go down a slight, we'll forget about Mark for a minute because you'll see the position of this high is going to hold relative, but this is where the changes are happening, and this is the most interesting. So very soon it looks as if Jean-Luc is running into these headwinds. There's northwesterly winds and northerlies plus light, so he's likely to slow down. So I never know which is the best scale for you watching this on the screen here, so I'll go up a bit more. Okay, so I'm clicking through every 3 hours once I hit that, and let's see what we got. So, okay, he's going to have a local northeasterly wind here, so he'll come out this way, but no wind. That hole is sitting there, and I don't know, you can't get across it, but within 12 hours it starts to disappear. The following breeze keeps him going. When he gets up here, he's got an easterly. That's fine, he's going north. And this centre, I was just going to say, is moving down here really quickly. So all of a sudden he might crack onto this southeasterly wind, right, and keep going. So there's another 6 hours, and all of a sudden, bingo, he starts to pick up with this strong and building southeasterly, which is really going to put the pressure on him in terms of sailing pressure and boat speed. I think you'll see him all of a sudden, start taking off north, which is great. So let's just hold it there for a minute and come back to see what's happened to Mark Slats. You can see now, if before this high, if he was going in this direction, the light winds are staying. So, but he will get possibly with his motor over to here, and then if he hooks up at that point, this is only literally a couple of days away, so this is only a day up here. He still may get onto the back end of this and be able to tail Jean-Luc. Okay, so depends on what forecasting Mark Slats is getting. Okay, whether you're listening into the forecast, whether the forecast's still going, all sorts of things. So Mark is, he's working hard, and same with Jean-Luc. It's not over yet by any stretch of the imagination. So just coming back a notch now. So if Jean-Luc's on the back of this one, we'll go through now and just keep flicking every 3 hours. So by that stage, he's sort of up in here somewhere. He's doing okay. Who knows where he'll go? He's either going to continue up or he might go out this way. It just depends. I've got no idea. But that's what he needs to do, because if he goes up here, he's going to get headwinds. The longer he can then stay out to this northeasterly direction, the better off he'll be. And just a reminder, none of this should be recorded and broadcast possibly onto the ham frequencies as a standard weather forecast that might be scheduled, because I don't want to be giving anyone any advantage. Okay, so if he picks it right and he heads out in this direction here, you can see he's still got a favourable wind. And even when it gets to here, it's still okay because that's going to force him out in that direction. Okay, and it's quite fast, although this is the weak side of Jean-Luc's mast. So here he's running downwind, everything's behind him. He can choose his jibe angle. Here it's definitely on the port side, and he will be watching his mast and probably have to reef back a bit and possibly even slow down a bit. Now if we come over here, here's the finish, and the distance to the finish on this sailing track from today is about 1,200 miles, okay? And if they got favourable winds, they could do that in 10 days. It's now the 19th, so that's the 29th of January. So let's just watch, and I would say they're making reasonable averages there, so just bear that in mind for now. Coming back to this weather, so this is 1100 UTC on the 21st, only 2 days away, so he's up in here still getting pushed around, and then it's definitely coming on the nose. All right, so now all of a sudden, if he's only here, you can see Jean-Luc's going to slow down. If Mark's behind him, he might be hooked up in these no wind zone still, because Jean-Luc's the other side, because this high pressure system is now the dominant force, and how quickly is it going to move across and provide the favourable winds again, or what's it going to do? It's not doing a lot, so there's possibly a day of confusion there. And now, if we look at this, if we assume Jean-Luc was over here, it's still headwinds, but if Mark Slats is coming up behind, he may be getting a kick. He may be hooked up in this fluffy bit as well. So what I'm trying to say is it's chaotic. It's confusing. There's a centre there. There's a centre here. There's the influence of the big storm up the top. It is impossible to pick, right? So yesterday I was thinking Jean-Luc's looking pretty good. Now I'm saying it's an open game. There is no clear, distinct weather. The boat race is on for days and days yet. No one can really pick it. And it's going to be quite interesting. So this becomes the dominant factor. As soon as it gets to the other side, about here, the boats, this is on the end of the 22nd, so it's the beginning of the 23rd. It's about 4 days in advance. They'll be up here somewhere, right in the middle, and then it'll slowly go below them, or a little bit down, and once they get on the top of this is the beginning of the ride back into the Bay of Biscay, and possibly towards the finish. But see, now the centre is squashing up, so if this forecast is correct, there's going to be another day of 18 hours of no wind waiting for this transition, but it is definitely coming across. Okay, it goes over them if this forecast is correct. Incredibly slow, but someone's going to be winning and someone's going to be losing on this deal that day. So I'm just clicking it through now. Then a huge no wind zone, light headwinds. That's going to take them a while, and that no wind zone is picking up. If we just come down a bit, because this is now coming through to the 26th, by then they're getting within touch, but there's this big system up the top which again is going to dominate and keep pushing in the favourable winds into the Bay of Biscay, and we go right through to the 27th, and all of a sudden we've got a big following push, so it's going to be a rush to the finish. Okay, and Jean-Luc might not mind that because all behind. Mark Slats won't mind. Because it's over such a wide area, it doesn't matter where they are, north-south. It matters all of where they are positioning back to front here, So, and that's one of the classic cases where Jean-Luc could have fought up here. Mark Slats fights up to here, so there's a distance apart, but when it swings this way, it doesn't matter. They're not going that way anymore. They're both going this way. So even right to the end, by the look of it, there's going to be opportunities and challenges for both of them. So watch this space. It's a hell of a race, and it's going to be quite a finish. That's the best I can explain it. So see you tomorrow.